The lights went out for the last time. Brighton Centre, England, October 10th, 1977. An ordinary Monday that would become historic without anyone knowing it. The stage was still warm. The last chord still echoed off the brutalist concrete walls of that newly opened auditorium. It was only 3 weeks old. 4,500 people had just watched Bing Crosby sing. They applauded. They shouted. They cried. Some people in the audience didn't even know they were witnessing history. They were witnessing an end. Backstage, a 79-year-old woman waited. Dame Gracie Fields, the British music hall legend, the voice that captivated England during World War II. She had known Bing for decades. She had come especially to see him, and when he stepped off the stage, sweaty, tired, but still smiling that smile the world knew, she embraced him. Someone took a picture, the last picture of Bing Crosby alive. He didn't know. She didn't know. Nobody knew. 4 days later, Harry Lillis Crosby would drop dead on a golf course in Spain. But that night in Brighton, he was still alive. He was still singing. He was still being Bing. And nobody imagined that this was goodbye. To understand what happened on that stage, learn the meaning of that last show, the weight of those last songs, the sadness that no one noticed, we need to go back in time. We need to understand who that 74-year-old man was with a broken spine, who went on stage in Brighton and sang as if he were still in his 20s, as if the pain didn't exist, as if death wasn't waiting, because Bing Crosby spent his entire life doing exactly that, pretending everything was all right when it wasn't, smiling when he wanted to cry, singing about home when he was lost, and nothing would make sense until we learned about the journey that brought him to that final stage. Harry Lillis Crosby was born in 1903, a stuttering boy from Tacoma, Washington. Big ears, even bigger insecurities. But he had a voice, and that voice would change everything. In the 1930s, he became the most famous man in the world. He sold more records than any other artist. He was the most listened to on the radio. He was the most watched in cinemas. He was inevitable. White Christmas alone sold over 50 million copies. To this day, it remains the best-selling single of all time. But in 1977, he was a weary man, a man who had lost too much. Dixie, his first wife, died in 1952 of ovarian cancer at age 40. 4 children from his first family who saw him as an outsider. Gary, who would write a book calling him a monster. Lindsay, who would kill herself with a gunshot to the head in 1989. Dennis, who would do the same in 1991. Bing remarried in 1957. Catherine Grant, a young actress. They had 3 children, Harry, Mary, and Nathaniel. This time, he tried to be better, to be present, but the ghost of the past never left him. In March 1977, just 7 months before Brighton, he fell from a stage at the Ambassador Auditorium in Pasadena. He fell 12 feet into the orchestra pit during the taping of a CBS special celebrating his 50-year career. Bob Hope was watching. The fall ruptured a disc in his spine. He spent a month in the hospital. The doctors told him to stop, to rest, to retire. He returned to the stage in August, because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering, and remembering meant confronting everything he had lost, everything he had failed to be, everything he had destroyed, trying to be perfect for the world. So he didn't stop. He continued, traveling, singing, smiling, always smiling. September 1977. Bing flew to England with his family and Rosemary Clooney for a tour. 2 weeks at the London Palladium. Sold-out shows. Standing ovations. The British public adored him. On September 11th, he recorded something special. A Christmas duet with David Bowie. Peace on Earth, Little Drummer Boy. 2 different worlds colliding. The old-school crooner and the glam rock star. Bowie was nervous. Later, he would joke, "Everyone I record with dies soon after." He was joking, but not entirely. The days piled up. London, Palladium, applause, flashes, interviews. Bing did everything on autopilot. He was a professional. He always had been. But something was different. Friends noticed. There was an exhaustion in his eyes that makeup couldn't hide. On October 8th, he played his last show at the London Palladium. The tour was coming to an end, but there was still one date left. Brighton, October 10th, a Monday. A new theater. One last show. He didn't know it would be the last time, or perhaps he knew. The morning dawned cloudy in London, a typical English autumn. Bing woke up in his rented apartment. He had coffee. He looked out the window. Brighton was an hour and a half away by train. He was tired. His back ached. It had always ached since the fall in March. But he had a show, and Bing Crosby never canceled shows. At 3 p.m., he arrived at the Brighton Center. The building was new, inaugurated just 3 weeks earlier on September 19th by Prime Minister James Callaghan himself. Brutalist architecture, textured concrete, modern, cold, but functional. Bing went to the dressing room. He warmed up his voice. He reviewed the set list. He talked to the musicians. He did everything he always did, professional to the end. Backstage, Dame Gracie Fields was waiting. She was 79 years old, 5 years older than Bing. She was a legend in England. During the Second World War, her voice kept British morale high. She and Bing had been friends for years. She wouldn't miss this show for the world. At 8 p.m., the lights went out. The audience fell silent, and Bing Crosby took the stage for the last time. He held the microphone. He felt its familiar weight. He looked at the audience, faces blurred by the spotlight, but he knew they were there. 4,500 people. Waiting, always waiting. And he began to sing. We don't know all the songs he sang that night. The recordings are lost, or perhaps they were never made. But we do know he sang the classics. White Christmas, probably. Swinging on a Star. Pennies from Heaven. The songs the world expected from him. He moved across the stage with his usual elegance. The back pain was there, it always was, but he didn't let it show. He smiled. He joked with the audience. He cracked jokes between songs. He was Bing Crosby, the entertainer, the professional. But if you looked closely, if you really looked, you would see something more. Sadness in his eyes, exhaustion in his smile. A man who was giving everything he had, but knew it wasn't enough anymore. The show lasted about 2 hours. 2 hours of nostalgia, of memories, of a time that was ending and nobody wanted to admit it. And then, it came to an end. The final chord, the final applause, the final smile. Bing waved to the audience. He thanked them. He left the stage. And it was backstage that the most important moment of that night took place. Dame Gracie Fields was waiting. She hugged him. Wonderful, Bing. Simply wonderful. He smiled. He was sweaty, tired, but happy. Genuinely happy, perhaps for the first time in weeks. Someone on the team saw the two of them together and had an idea. Can I take a picture? Bing and Gracie posed. Two giants of entertainment. Two legends. Two people who had given their lives to the stage, to the audience, to the art of making people forget their pain for a few hours. The flash went off. That photo, Dame Gracie Fields and Bing Crosby backstage at the Brighton Center, October 10th, 1977, would be the last photograph of Bing Crosby alive. He didn't know. She didn't know. The photographer didn't know. But time knew. Destiny knew. And 4 days later, the world would know too. October 11th. The following morning, Bing went to the BBC's Maida Vale studios. He recorded 8 songs with the Gordon Rose Orchestra. The last recording was Once in a While, a melancholic ballad about memories that never fade. Once in a while, will you try to give one little thought to me, though someone else may be nearer your heart? He sang those words with an emotion he didn't show on stage, as if he knew, as if in some way he was saying goodbye. After the recording, he returned to his apartment in London. He discovered that he had been robbed during the show in Brighton, his belongings stolen, his privacy violated. He called the police. He filed a report. He did what he had to do, but something within it broke. One more thing taken away, one more violation, one more reminder that no matter how much you give to the world keeps taking away. October 12th, played 11 holes of golf at Cranbrook, Kent. Was interested in buying the course. Another project. Another distraction. October 13th, Thursday. He flew alone from London to Madrid. Alone. He left his family in England. He went to Spain to play golf and hunt partridges. October 14th, Friday. He played 18 holes at La Moraleja golf course. He was in a good mood. He won the game. On the 9th hole, construction workers asked him to sing. He sang Strangers in the Night, his last performance. At 6:30 p.m. he was walking back to the club. That was a great game, guys. Let's have a Coca-Cola. 20 meters to the entrance. 15, 10, and then he collapsed. Massive heart attack. Dead before he hit the ground. Brighton wasn't just Bing Crosby's last show. It was the end of an era. He represented something that was disappearing. The old school crooner. The smooth, intimate voice that changed popular music. The entertainer who never spoke of his pain, who always smiled, who always gave the audience exactly what they wanted. But that man on stage in Brighton was tired. He was broken. In so many ways, he was just surviving, and nobody noticed, because he was very good at hiding it. He spent his whole life hiding it. Dame Gracie Fields later said, "He was wonderful that night, happy, complete." Perhaps she was right. Perhaps for those 2 hours on stage, he truly was happy. Perhaps the stage was the only place where he could be himself. Or perhaps the stage was the only place where he could forget who he really was. On March 31st, 1978, 5 months after Bing's death, the United States ambassador unveiled a plaque at the Brighton Center. Bing Crosby gave his last public performance in this building on 10th October 1977. That plaque is still there. Tourists pass by it without knowing the full story, without knowing about the broken spine, about the burgled apartment, about the man who flew alone to Spain because he couldn't stay still any longer. Bing Crosby spent 50 years on stage, 50 years singing, smiling, being perfect for the world. And in the end, he died alone on a golf course 20 meters from a Coca-Cola he never got to drink. The last show in Brighton was perfect. He was professional to the very end. He gave the audience exactly what they wanted. And then he left the stage for the last time. But the question no one asked and the question no one wanted to ask was, what did Bing Crosby want? Did he want to be on that stage? Or did he want to be at home? Did he want the applause? Or did he want silence? Did he want to be Bing Crosby, the legend? Or did he just want to be Harry Lillis, the boy who stuttered? We'll never know, because he never said. And now, it's too late to ask. The Christmas special with David Bowie aired on November 30th, 1977, 6 weeks after Bing's death. Millions watched, cried, remembered. The album Seasons, the album for which he did the photo shoot on October 11th, was released posthumously. His last recording, Once in a While, became prophetic, and Brighton Center continued. More shows, more artists, Status Quo, Rod Stewart, The Who, Queen. The Jam played their last show there in 1982, as did Bing. But there's something different when you walk into that auditorium knowing the story. You look at the stage and imagine a 74-year-old man with a broken spine, singing as if he were still young, giving his all to people who would never know the price of that. Bing Crosby's last show wasn't just a show. It was a sacrifice. It was a man who loved the stage so much or was so afraid to leave it that he continued until his body said, enough. And perhaps that is the saddest truth of all. Bing Crosby didn't die on stage, but the stage killed him. Slowly, silently, painfully. One round of applause at a time.